So guys, this is Alice9 or R9 by Acustica Audio. Yeah, first of all, don't be fooled. This is just a mock-up. This is just a screenshot I cannot play. It's not out yet, and I don't have it yet, at least. We will see some of the feature based on what they already revealed in a live stream that was held a few days ago. So first of all, the new synth is there. We have a couple of VCOs, which seems to be quite interesting. We'll talk about them later. Then we have a third VCO and then a fourth VCO with a sub, apparently. First of all, we can have a look at the interface, and the interface is nothing like a real synth. This is not meant to be a clone. They said multiple times in the live stream, it is not a clone of anything. So it reminds somebody told that it's similar to a Korg. It's not a Korg. Somebody said it's similar to UDO. It's not a UDO. Somebody told it's similar to Roland stuff, particularly the SH101. Maybe it's not a Roland. It's nothing. It's not a clone. Okay, they said multiple times. So let's hear what they say. What they said in the actual live stream first.
This is the synthesizer. Okay, before you go on, I tell you immediately is not a clone of anything. So if you tell me is a Korg because it resembles a Korg, it's not a Korg. If you say this in a UDO, is not, because it's completely different. And there are a lot of stuff based on this appearance, because you say it's a sort of Roland looking appearance with a different color schema. The idea was to create something modern, keeping the same feeling. Now we explain reason why also there is something from different synthesizers.
So yes, as you can see, they made it clear multiple times that it's not a specific clone of a specific scene. Maybe the interface reminds of some specific instruments and some specific scenes, but it's nothing like anything. It's not a clone. One good idea is they try to keep everything on the screen. So they don't have hidden menus, they don't have additional pages. They try to keep everything on the same interface. And they said that maybe in the future you will have hidden menus or hidden screens where you can see the waveforms and stuff like that. But for the moment, it's only a big screen and everything is on the screen. Nothing else to dive in, no menu diving and stuff like that. So basically, what was the idea behind Alice9, as far as we can tell? The main idea, I think, is in the two VCO 1 and 2, which they say they are not sampled and they are not wavetables. In wavetable synthesis, you basically get a very short life cycle, single cycle waveform that is repeated multiple times, and then you have table of different waveform, and you can scan through them, and you can think to some VSTs such as Serum, for example, of Pigments by Arturia, and maybe the predecessor to all this wavetable synthesis was the PPG wave back in the 80s or 70s, and it's not sampled as well, or maybe they sampled the actual VCOs, the actual oscillators, but there are also samples for different instruments. I've seen today on Facebook they are also sampling strings and double bass and cellos and stuff like that, piano, organs. So there's a lot of material, and they say that it's a mix between wavetable synthesis or wavetable waves actually and sampling. So they sampled long sample of oscillators or different sounds of synthesizers, and then combined them with some wavetable kind of stuff. Of course, this is not fully revealed. This is probably going to be a new technology by Acoustic Audio. They of course will be proprietary, and they probably don't want to fully disclose, but I guess they are doing something like they have a sample and maybe they cut some splices, and then the splices are not always the same. So this is very rich in sound, as you will see, and it's not a wavetable in the way that it's not repeated cyclically, and probably they are using some advanced round robin stuff behind the hood, or maybe some phase variation in order not to make the sample sound the same every time you press a note. But let's hear again from the live stream what they said.
What was the idea? Let's go straight on what is. The idea was, when we were creating TH8, the idea was, what if we can change the, for example, oscillator. We take an oscillator which is a square, a sawtooth, or something like that, and we sample from other devices. So this is the point. So we started working on this particular engine, which is not a wavetable and which is not a sampler, but basically is doing a sort of mix between them for creating an oscillator.
So as you can hear, it's a mix between wavetables and the standard sampling, and none of the two technologies new. We've had wave tables, wave sequencing for decades, and we have had sampling as well for decades. But it's a mix of the two. So this is kind of promising. This is kind of maybe some revolutionary aspect and approach to sampling. And we know acoustic audio is renowned for sampling for, of course, effect mainly, preamplifiers, EQs, and compressor from the past of making very good clones. And so probably they are going to clone the oscillator from different devices. I think in the live stream I've heard something from a Korg M1, such as a piano and such as an organ, or maybe if it's not our M1, it's definitely a Korg from the same era. So let's see again a very small part of the live stream.
About it. You have to do it properly. Otherwise, when you sample an oscillator, you have a problem. For a wavetable, basically, is very static, but also sampling technique. You can have, you need a round robin and other stuff. And it doesn't work, it doesn't behave like a real oscillator.
Yeah, so the problem with wavetables is it's very static in nature because it's a very small fragment of the sound. It's just a single cycle that's being repeated multiple times. And again, the problem with sampling can be the same. The sampled sound can sound static and always sound the same. So usually you use round robins and stuff like that in order not to have all the waves to always behave the same. And this is particularly true for drum sounds. For example, you get the trigger gun, the machine gun effect. So whenever you repeat the snare sound always the same. So you need to have multiple samples, and you need to have a round robin in order to play each one at a time, and so to cycle the different samples. So this is something completely new. I'm really curious, and I can't wait to put my hands on the synth, and hopefully I will have it before the release date, finger crossed. And so let's try to hear some of the sound. The quality is not the best, of course, because it's recorded from a live stream, and also I think they didn't have headphones, so the sound is going out of the speaker and going back into the microphones. But I think that you can hear that it's a very thick sound in some way, and it's a very evolving sound as well. So let's hear some of the example that they gave us in the live stream.
FM, a typical FM, for example. Yeah.
And as you could hear, there is a lot of stuff going on here, because the first sound was, I think, something from the 90s, I believe, some kind of synthesizer or 90s, maybe early 2000 kind of sound. Yeah, the second one was clearly an FM sound with bellish kind of sound, so maybe we are talking in the Yamaha DX7 territory. And the last part was an organ, and I think this is clearly a sample from the Korg M1 or some Korg from the same era from the 90s or something like that. Let's hear some more examples.
Oh, this one also. or this one.
So again, lots of different stuff and lots of different sound. So let's have a look at the interface. From what we can see, we have the two oscillators here, and these are probably going to be sample oscillators, and you select the oscillator type from these two drop-down menus here. Then we have the mixer for the two oscillators. Then we have a third oscillator that, by what I could understand, will be based on something like TH8 or Thing8, so a standard analog style oscillator. And then we have a fourth oscillator, which will be a sub oscillator that can go very low, and this will only have a sine wave and a square wave. Then we have a couple of envelope generators, usually one for the filter and the second one for, and then another one for the VCA. That we have the VCA here, and we have VCF here. Actually, many kind of VCF. I think in the live stream that demonstrated that we will have many kind of filter types, of course, based on the huge library that Acoustic Audio has been collecting in the years. Then we have modulation here for the VCO, and then we have LFO. And LFO looks pretty interesting as well, because there are lots of different variations for the LFO. So there are lots of modulation, and also from the envelope, I think they sampled many different kind of envelopes from different synths and different stuff. Then we have an arpeggiator here, and basically that's it. And then you can select the arpeggiator on and off here. So that's it for today. Hopefully I will have the synths before the release date. Otherwise, I will have to buy it or take the trial, try the trial when it gets out. So that's it for today. Let's see when it comes out. It is going out in less than 2 months, as they said. So it's probably going out in May, I believe. So bye for today. See you.